guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. If you happen to follow me on Instagram, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, then that's really awkward and you know what to do, it's at Lucy J Wood. But if you do follow me on Instagram, then you've probably seen about 1,000,001 photos of my bullet journal. Mainly because I'm actually pretty proud of it, much prouder than I am of my own face, or my selfie poses, or my loved ones, or my work, or anything else that I own, really. Anyway, literally every time that I shared a snap of my bullet journal last year, I would get a handful of messages from you guys asking if I could do a video on it. And I've literally been putting it off for so long because, I'll be honest, I figured it would just be a big old faff and not many people would be interested in the ins and outs of my stationery. But having said all that, it's also kind of got to the point where I can't really ignore the number of people that are asking to see it properly anymore. So today is officially the day that I put my bullet journal out into the big wide world for you to have a look at. I'm going to chat about it a little bit before I just dive straight in head first, just in case there's anyone watching who doesn't really know what they are or what they're for, or what a bullet journal even really is. But if you want to skip straight to all the good stuff and have a nose inside, then I'll make sure to put a timestamp in the description box so that you can skip all the chatty stuff and you can just go straight inside my journal. Yeah, this is my bullet journal, aka the one item in my life that I literally rely on to keep me sane from day to day. Honestly, if I didn't have this on me most times, I'd probably be walking around in a grubby bed sheet, gaunt, haggard face, wailing at the clouds, whispering about my stress levels just day in, day out really. So back to basics. If you've never heard of a bullet journal, it might sound like the next very aggressive upgrade from Regina George's burn book, but it's actually just a very simple way of organising your life. If you're like me, who is the type of person who relies on 1,000,000 different to-do lists at any given point in the day, that is literally me to a T. I have to write everything down, I have to cross everything off, I doodle myself into oblivion each morning. For some reason, my brain just works better when things are written down in front of me. It's definitely become a lot more popular since I started a couple of years ago, but I know, because I put it off for a long time, that it can be really daunting and you can get yourself very lost in a weird world of calligraphy and future logs and yearly spreads and all sorts of other confusing things that don't make much sense. So to sum it up nicely in one stationery loving little nutshell, the way that I use a bullet journal is to treat it as kind of a to-do list slash diary hybrid. On a basic level, it'll keep you organised by encouraging you to make lists and kind of visualize everything you need to do. You use bullet points to like note everything down, hence bullet journal. But thanks to some sickeningly, amazingly, very talented arty types on Instagram, YouTube, and the rest of the like internet bullet journal community, it's now also become like a pretty popular like art project almost. People turn their bullet journals into literal works of art that will probably move you to tears with how perfect they are. Spoiler alert, that's not mine. So there is an official system of how you're supposed to set up a bullet journal, but it's now kind of a much broader project where everyone uses like the official bullet journal starting point, and then as you start to use it, you kind of develop your own ideal way of doing things, basically. You draw your own perfect diary, really, with your own layout and your own structure and your own page setup. And then as a bonus, if you're arty, it also becomes like a personal project through illustration and fonts and graphic design. So back to my little bad boy bullet journal, I've always had the same type of book for my bullet journals. I go for the classic, which a lot of people use, and that is the dotted A5. I never know how to say the brand name. Leuchtturm. The dotted A5 Leuchtturm 1917, which is the one that I've seen a ton of other people using. It was the one that I kind of admired for a long time, and it's the one that I've always stuck to. I know that when I first opened it and saw dotted pages, I found it quite weird, and I was pretty convinced it was never going to work for me because I've never used dotted pages before. I'm all about lined paper. But I think dotted paper is nice in that it still gives you the guidelines that you need if you're wanting to create straight lines or whatever, but there's a lot more freedom to it that you can draw over and you can use them for other different types of things. Right, so now that I told you all of that stuff, it's probably time that I actually actually showed you what's inside my own journal. And this literally feels like I'm putting a small baby child into the cold streets of the world to fend for themselves. So I never show anybody what's inside this, literally. So yeah, this is my brand new babe for 2018. And I spent the days between Christmas and New Year, those like lazy crimbo limbo days where you don't really know what to do with yourself. I spent those drawing it up so that it'd be ready to kick off the new year with. At that point, I ambitiously thought I'd be straight back into work and didn't realise that I would spend the first week of January literally rocking back and forth trying to avoid all forms of work. But hey, at least I tried to be organised. As you can see, I've kept the cover itself pretty simple and just used my swanky new label maker. I am such a loser. Just to put my full name and the year on the front cover and then also down the spine as well. I'm kind of regretting the decision of using the red tape because, I don't know, it just reminds me a bit too much of something that would have been on like a My Chemical Romance album art piece. But that's just the vibe that I'm gonna have to go for 2018. My Chemical Romance album cover. That's my vibe. So I'm gonna shut up now and I'm gonna fire you over that way to go and have a proper look inside my bullet journal. Okay, so this is my shiny new bullet journal for 2018. As I said, I've kept the cover pretty simple, gone for some accidental super emo 2006 vibes, but I'm kind of okay with that. On the front page, which I'm obviously not going to show you, I have my name and my address in case I ever lose it. But the first page that I guess you actually need to know about is the contents page. This table comes ready printed in the diary, which I like to buy. And as I go along, I literally just fill in the page number, a quick title for each page, and then it helps me flick back and forth between them if there's something in particular that I'm looking for. Before diving straight into the actual bullet journal itself, I wanted to do kind of a little cover page, I guess. So I just, again, kept it very simple and just put my name and year, just in case, you know, I forget either of those things. I don't love this, to be honest. I was just practicing with some new pens that I got for Christmas. I feel like it's kind of a little bit squashed together, but I'm hoping that I will add some extra little bits of illustration to this as I go along. Calligraphy is something that I am definitely not an expert at. In fact, I'm really not very good at all. As you can see, my letters tend to change size a lot and that kind of thing. I'm completely self-taught. I don't really know what I'm doing, but it's a skill that I'm hoping to get better at this year. So after my cover page, I go straight on to my yearly spread, which I guess is where things get kind of interesting. For my 2017 bullet journal, I had a totally different yearly spread to this. I had all 12 months spread across a double page. I quite liked the way it looked, but it meant that I didn't really have a lot of room to write down things that were going to be coming up in that month. And that was something that I struggled with a little bit last year. So this time around, I decided to mix things up a bit, and I've actually spread this over 2 different double spreads. If you're new to all of this and you're wondering why you would need like a big overview like this, it's actually pretty handy because not only do you have the days of the week and all the days of the month coming up just to kind of glance at, then these little individual columns underneath each month kind of act as like an upcoming list of things which you can later add into each of your monthly spreads, if that makes any sense. These little banners here in the corner are something that I like to add into most of my pages. This one just says yearly. This style of calligraphy font is something that I tend to keep as like a constant throughout all of my journal. And then these bits here are literally just my very scruffy handwriting, sorry about that. I've gone for grey for my neutral pages just to keep things as basic as possible. But then you might be able to see a little bit of blue here, and what I've decided to do is each month I like to change up the colour that I'm using in my bullet journal, and as I approach each month I'm just going to add a little bit of colour detail to these titles here. So as you can see, January is going to be this kind of like muted blue colour, which I think is really cool. So yeah, this is the yearly spread, also known as a future log if you are a professional boojoer, which I'm really not at all. So that is my yearly spread, and on to the next page. I have kept it really simple and just gone for a big title of goals for 2018 and a little bit of doodling here, really not very exciting. I'm just going to use this page to chart like my New Year's resolutions, a few little achievements that I'm hoping to hit in 2018, fingers crossed. I mean, these things never really go to plan, do they? But like for instance, I'm hoping to hit 50,000 subscribers this year. I'm also hoping to hit 10,000
Instagram followers, so if you want to help me with that one, you know what to do. And then I've got a few more, slightly more personal ones to do with my confidence and my mental health and all that kind of stuff. So that's where I'm going to keep a record of all of those. It'll be nice to look back on it at the end of the year or when I'm starting next year's journal and see how I get on. And then as you can see over on the right hand side here, this is where my January spread starts. And I think it might be kind of obvious what my theme is for this month. Yeah, I've gone for stars. I actually saw this layout in someone else's bullet journal. I saw it on Instagram somewhere and I absolutely fell in love with it, so decided to recreate it for myself. This is just my like standard calligraphy heading that I tend to do on most pages. These are very scruffy stars, which I've done a little bit of shading. Okay, so over to pages 8 and 9. This is what I mean by how a bullet journal totally lets you basically design your perfect diary layout. And however many bullet journal videos you watch, it's probably pretty unlikely that you'll find two exactly the same because people's brains work in different ways, people's methods of organisation suit different types of things. But this is a layout which I think is going to work really well for me because I've kind of taken ideas from my past bullet journal and put them together to create this kind of spread for the month. So on page 8 here, I have gone for this month and literally just numbered down the page of the month from 1 all the way to 31 for the days of January. Got a tiny little reminder calendar here just so I can see like what days of the week everything is. And this is the page that I'm going to use to write down all the upcoming events, appointments, things that I've got going on for the next couple of weeks. So while this is going to be the personal side, over on the right hand side here, this is my work page. I've gone for the same numbered line per day down here all the way to 31. So while this is going to be like personal, nights out, dinners, dates, over here I have got a column for work events. So that might be things like meetings or days in an office. And then in this column, this is going to be the deadlines that I have got coming up. So I work as a freelance writer for anybody who hasn't seen my videos before, and that means that I have a lot of dates and deadlines to juggle, and sometimes it makes me feel like I'm going to go a little bit insane. Next up, I have got my mood tracker, and this is the page that I'm actually really happy with. I love how this has turned out. I totally stole it from a page that I did in my bullet journal last year, but I really like the look of it. I feel like it fits my star theme really well. So in the whole world of bullet journaling, trackers are something that are really popular for a lot of people. People do things like social media trackers to track how their Instagram, YouTube is growing, that kind of thing. People do habit trackers so that they can see what days of the week they've worked out, they've drunk enough water, they've got their 5 a day. I used to do that too. I did find them quite helpful to a certain extent, but I also found them to be a little bit stressful. I used to track my social media religiously and quickly realised that that wasn't a great thing for me to do for my mental health. And also the habit tracker as well is just not something that I find particularly useful, and I also find that a lot of the time I won't even keep it up to date properly. So it's kind of a waste of time for me to have it. So instead, this month I've decided to just stick with a mood tracker. The way I'm going to do this month's mood tracker is that I have drawn 31 stars. The lightest shade of blue is a good mood, the medium shade is an okay mood, and the darkest colour is a sad mood. And as you can see, at the end of each day, I just fill in the star with how great my mood has been in the day. I find mood trackers really, really useful. My mental health can be a little bit up and down sometimes, so it's really handy for me to be able to look back at past months and see if I can spot any trends throughout the month, see if it links to my period or if there's something else that I might need to have a little look at. Over here is my space for post. So this is like incoming parcels that I will jot down next to each tick box, and then when they arrive, I can tick them off. And then underneath that, I have got a little slot for expenses. Obviously I'm self-employed, so it's handy for me to keep track of everything that I spent this month to do with my business, because then when I come to do my taxes at the end of the year, I can just look back at each page of the month and tot it all up. I've kept it pretty simple, but I've done the date, description of what the expense is, a receipt filed column so that I can double check that I've kept the receipt for it, and then the amount. Cool, so that is that page. And then next up, we are onto my weekly spreads. So in my 2017 bullet journal, I went through so many different types of weekly spreads, and I feel like I I definitely haven't decided this. I'll definitely change them up again for next month, but I tend to do 2 columns of check boxes for all the tasks that I have to do for the day. As I do the task, I then colour in the checkbox so that it turns black, and then if I get to the end of the day and I haven't ticked off a checkbox, I will put an arrow in it to move it into the next day, or I'll put a cross through it to mean that I don't actually have to do it anymore. I will also use a circle for any social events that I've got that day, or a triangle for any appointments that I have. So this is my first week of January. I just did these little strips of little hanging stars, which I thought were quite cute. I've done different decorations for every week. So the next one is just these little bundles of stars. The third week of January are these little string stars, which I think might be my favourite. I really like the way those have turned out. The fourth week of January, I did some shooting stars, and then just these little more understated stars along here as well. And then the final few days of January, I did a couple more of the little hanging stars. And obviously every morning before I start my work, I will refer back to, which page am I looking for? This one, so that I can double check that there's nothing coming up for that day, as well as these two to check I haven't forgotten about any deadlines, which nearly always happens. And then obviously when I start to use this now, after I film this video, I will also go through this and add in any like upcoming social events or appointments or work meetings or anything like that, and add them into the day-to-day bits. I've added a very kind of blank page for video ideas. I tend to get a bit carried away when I start planning videos, so I like to have a lot of space to kind of mind map and make notes coming off each other and really like brainstorm a few ideas. So that's what that page is for. And the last page that I've got to show you right now before things get blank is my bookshelf. This is a page that I started last year and I really enjoyed. Not only is it nice to just keep a track record of everything that you've read in the year, but I think it looks so cute. I absolutely love this page. But as you can see, all I do is just draw a collection of little cartoon books for every book that I actually read in real life. First of all, I read In a Cottage in a Wood, which is like a creepy thriller. It had a really good twist at the end, so I really recommend it if that's your kind of thing. And then I also read The Handmaid's Tale. So yeah, as I go through the year, I will add more and more books to my bookshelf, and then hopefully by the time we get to December, this will be full. So that is everything that I've got to show you in my bullet journal right now. That's my yearly spread and my January spread so far. I like to make it look cute to the best of my ability. I really enjoy doing like lettering and doodling and drawing and that kind of thing. So it's right up my street. It's my perfect little project, and I know it's not perfect, but I think it's really important that if you are going to start doing one of these, it's really important to not get hung up on the idea of it being perfect. At the end of the day, it's only you that is going to see this. If you are a perfectionist, you can always do it in pencil first before you go over in pen. But I think if you overthink it too much, you will never get started. So just get stuck in and add little cute doodles as you go along, practice your lettering as you go along, and you will see an improvement as you go from month to month. Honestly, I'm not kidding when I say that starting a bullet journal was one of the best things I've ever done, not only for my like daily organization and helping with the way that I work, but also for my mental health. It de-stresses me so much. It really made a difference with my anxiety and the way that I handle my anxiety, and I really can't recommend it enough. If it's something that you've been thinking about getting stuck in with, definitely go for it, and make sure to tweet me or Instagram me any photos of your own bullet journal, because I would love to see. Okay, that's all I have to say, I think. Thanks!
So that's it! I can't believe I finally filmed this video. I've literally been putting this off for months and months and months. I don't know why, I just felt kind of weird about the idea of showing it to you because it's such a personal thing. But now that I've done it, I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about it. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, my first ever bullet journal video. I'm like part of a new community now. If you enjoyed this video and you would like to see more of these, I know a lot of channels do like a monthly plan with me kind of video where they set themselves up for the month ahead. So if you'd like to see like something along those lines, just give me a little thumbs up or let me know in the comments down below. I'd be really interested to hear if this is something that I should do more of. It makes me feel kind of lame to call it a hobby, but I guess like scrapbooking, journaling, like they're legit hobbies, and I do think of it as like an art project. So I'm gonna stop being embarrassed about it and just tell you that I love talking about it. So let's have a chat in the comments. Let's just be massive nerds and talk all things stationery in the comments, because I would really enjoy that. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button somewhere down there if you're new, and you can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Lucy Jane Wood. And on that note, I will see you guys next time with another video. Thanks for watching. Bye! Mwah.